As the world grapples with the resurgence of great power rivalries and the ever-present threat of nuclear proliferation, the relationship between the United States and North Korea has emerged as a focal point of concern. The two nations, once bound by the tenuous threads of diplomacy and the promise of denuclearization, now find themselves navigating a treacherous landscape of mistrust, competing interests, and the ever-present specter of nuclear escalation. In the wake of North Korea's continued pursuit of nuclear weapons and the breakdown of diplomatic efforts, the risk of a catastrophic nuclear confrontation between these two adversaries has become an increasingly pressing issue. Policymakers, analysts, and scholars from various corners of the globe have weighed in on the factors that could potentially draw the United States and North Korea into a nuclear conflict, each offering a unique perspective shaped by their respective geopolitical vantage points. For many observers, the prospect of a preemptive strike by either side looms large as a potential catalyst for nuclear escalation. Robert E. Kelly, a professor of political science at Pusan National University, argues that North Korea has strong incentives to use tactical nuclear weapons early in any future conflict on the Korean Peninsula. In an article published by the Bulletin of the Atomic Scientists, Kelly contends that North Korea will likely face an intense use-it-or-lose-it dilemma regarding its weapons of mass destruction as soon as a war starts. This perspective is rooted in the belief that Pyongyang's conventional military capabilities are vastly inferior to the combined forces of the United States and its allies, and that any serious conflict between the two Koreas would quickly become existential for the North. Kelly's analysis finds resonance in the views of other experts, such as Robert Carlin and Siegfried Hecker, who believe that North Korean leader Kim Jong-un has made a strategic decision to go to war, much like his grandfather did in 1950. This sentiment underscores the potential for miscalculation and the risk of a preemptive strike by North Korea, driven by the fear of losing its nuclear deterrent and the perceived need to secure its survival. Another perspective that has gained traction among analysts is the concept of decoupling, a Cold War-era notion that could potentially drive the United States and North Korea towards nuclear conflict. As explained by Vox's Zach Beauchamp, the idea of decoupling refers to the possibility that the United States might be unwilling to defend its allies, such as South Korea, if doing so risked a nuclear attack on American soil. With North Korea's development of long-range missiles capable of hitting the mainland United States, the specter of decoupling has taken on a new urgency. As Beauchamp notes, the North Korean Constitution explicitly states the country's ultimate aim as the reunification of the entire Korean peninsula under its rule, a goal that would be impossible to achieve with the United States formally committed to defending South Korea. This dynamic, coupled with North Korea's growing nuclear capabilities, has raised concerns that Pyongyang might attempt to use nuclear blackmail to break up the U.S.-South Korea alliance, thereby paving the way for a potential invasion of the South. As Robert E. Kelly argues, North Korea may attempt to engage in nuclear blackmail by threatening regional concentrations of Americans, such as military bases in South Korea and Japan, in an effort to constrain the United States' ability to assist its allies. Amidst the chorus of concerns and dire warnings, there are also voices of caution and restraint, urging both sides to exercise prudence and pursue diplomatic solutions to diffuse tensions. In a Bloomberg opinion piece, scholars Robert Carlin and Siegfried Hecker, while acknowledging the gravity of the situation, caution against overreacting to Kim Jong-un's rhetoric and suggest that his threats of annihilation may be more bluster than a genuine indication of intent. They argue that the North Korean leader's primary goal is likely regime survival, and that a direct attack on the United States or its allies would be a strategic miscalculation of catastrophic proportions. Similarly, some analysts argue that the rhetoric surrounding a potential U.S.-North Korea conflict often overlooks the shared interests and mutual deterrence that have historically prevented direct military confrontation between nuclear-armed powers. As the Carnegie Endowment for International Peace notes, the majority of those who support the special operation explain their position in terms of protecting the Russian-speaking population in Ukraine. This perspective suggests that both sides may be more inclined to pursue diplomatic solutions and avoid escalation, even in the face of heightened tensions. As the debate over the potential for a U.S.-North Korea nuclear conflict rages on, it is clear that the path forward will require a delicate balance of diplomacy, deterrence, and risk mitigation strategies. On the diplomatic front, many experts emphasize the need for sustained dialogue and confidence-building measures to reduce the risk of miscalculation and escalation. This could involve establishing clear lines of communication, setting mutually agreed-upon rules of engagement, and exploring avenues for cooperation on issues of shared concern, such as climate change and global health. At the same time, maintaining a credible deterrent and robust defensive capabilities is seen as essential to dissuading aggression and preserving the delicate balance of power. This may involve continued investment in advanced military technologies, strengthening alliances and security partnerships, and developing comprehensive contingency plans for potential conflict scenarios.